Thank you very much, Genesis Gold Group, for sponsoring this video. Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go over a few news articles that I found pretty interesting. And the first one that I want to go over with, ladies and gentlemen, is something that we've talked about in the past. And you know that I think that at least half of Americans, I know I'm one of them, loves their morning Java. And going forward, as I've stated in the past and even more so now, it's going to probably cost you an arm and a leg to get your morning fix, ladies and gentlemen, because coffee, as we've talked about it in the past, not has it gone up in price, but it's going to go up in price even more. All of the weather events that we've been having, especially in those nations that are big producers of coffee, have really affected the supply of coffee worldwide. And it looks like it's going to continue to affect it. Now, is this an important article to be going over? Is this something important that you should be preparing for? Making sure that you stock up on your coffee before it gets too expensive or more expensive? I believe absolutely. You know, ladies and gentlemen, in life, you have to enjoy the little things. And look, I'm enjoying a cup of coffee right now. Actually, this is one of my last cups of coffee before I go full free coffee. No more coffee, because tomorrow I effectively start what is a carnivore diet. And that kind of a diet, the only thing that you can consume is just animal-based products. So I can't drink coffee. Why? Because coffee beans are a plant, right? They're a seed from a plant or a fruit from a plant. I can't even have, garlic powder on my steak. I'm going to try it for a month. It's an elimination diet is what it's called, where you eliminate everything that you consume little by little, and then you see how you're feeling and how you're doing metabolically, and as far as, any maybe chronic illnesses that you may have. Right? And then once you see how your body is treated when you only eat one type of food for a good time, at least 30 days I would say, then you can start adding back things little by little to see how your body reacts to those things that you're adding. So I'm hoping that when I add back my coffee, after going without it for 30 to maybe 60 days, I'm not sure yet, we'll have to see what happens, that it will treat my body good, because I love my morning coffee. So that is why we have to stock up on it and make sure that if you love your morning coffee as much as I do, that you get it put away before the prices go up. Here from Natural News, they say that food crisis is brewing. It's not just coffee, ladies and gentlemen. It's all types of food. I believe that I did a short video here not too long ago, probably within the last week or two, telling you all these other foods that are going to be in shortage this year and that the prices are probably going to double. Olive oil, rice, pasta, and the list does go on and on. So go check out that video if you haven't seen it. Robusta coffee beans prices hit a 12-year record high amid El Nino threat. So it has to do with the weather. No, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, it's not man-made climate change that is making coffee more expensive. It is just the natural weather pattern of the El Nino and La Nina that we've been having for the last, I don't know how long. How long have I been alive? We'll go on with a little bit of this, and then as always, I will leave the link to these articles that I go over on a pinned comment so you can revisit them, ladies and gentlemen, if you like. A shortage brought about by the emerging El Nino ahead of a northern hemisphere summer in Vietnam and Indonesia has pushed Robusta coffee bean prices to 12-year record highs. Vietnam is the largest producer of Robusta coffee beans, while Indonesia is the world's third largest producer of this cheaper coffee variety. So now even the cheaper coffee variety is going to be going up in price. And I have noticed, ladies and gentlemen, that like in the last 2 or 3 years, when we started having problems with coffee prices going up because of the destruction of a lot of the coffee beans in South America due to drought, due to fire, due to all of these things, including floods. The coffee in the little coffee shack that I go to every once in a while, not that often anymore, but every once in a while, it's like doubled in price since when I first started going there. If their coffee is doubling in price, then I'm pretty sure that the coffee on the shelf at the supermarket or at your nearest Costco is also going up in price considerably as well. Inflation, just like in Venezuela, will eventually make that cup of coffee unavailable for most people that enjoy a cup of coffee in the morning. Let's go on to the next one. This right here, the great student loan non-payment boondoggle is over and household spending is about to collapse. I think that this is very interesting. I haven't read this article at all, but the title by itself makes a lot of sense. Remember that they, ever since the health crisis, they allowed anyone that owed student loans to not have to pay them for a certain amount a month that turned into years. I'm not a financial advisor, but the folks at Genesis Gold Group specialize in helping those who want to diversify their excess wealth by converting their fiat currency retirement plans into a plan that is backed by real money. So if you're in a position where you are wondering what you can do in order to diversify or insulate your wealth against what I like to call the inferno of inflation, give Genesis Gold Group a call and they can provide you with the information that you need in order to make an educated decision. Once again, thank you very much, Genesis Gold Group, for sponsoring this video. The chickens are coming home to roost. They're going to have to start making those payments back again. So for example, what this article I'm pretty sure is getting at is, let's say I have a student loan and my student loan is $500 a month. Okay. Well, I haven't paid that student loan for the last 2 years, let's say, right? Because the government said, hey, you don't have to worry about it for the next 2 years because of whatever, right? So I haven't paid that. Well, I'm still spending $500 somewhere, right? Where am I spending it at? Starbucks, the coffee shack, you know, the movies, the bars, you know, the fast foods. So what this is saying is that since people that have student loans are going to have to start paying them again, that money that they would have spent somewhere else, that $500 that I would have spent somewhere else, is now going to have to go to the student loan repayment. And when you pay back a loan, ladies and gentlemen, you're effectively destroying fiat currency. That's why they like you to take out loans, right? Because that creates fiat currency. It's inflationary. But when you pay back a loan, you're effectively destroying the principle of that loan that you're paying back. Well, when you're destroying that money, it's deflationary because you're not taking that money and spending it somewhere else. Pretty much the economy is going to take a hit because people are going to have to start paying back their student loan and they're not going to be able to go out and eat fast food or do the other things that they were doing before with that money. All right, so it's just another sign that the economy is going downhill. All right, ladies and gentlemen. And what can you do to protect yourself? Very simple. I'm not a financial advisor, but I like to see what it is that the big dogs are doing, what the people that are trying to destroy your lives are doing or are destroying your lives by inflating the money supply. And what are they doing? Central banks are buying gold at record pace. And here they just ask, what does that mean for inflation? What I really want to concentrate on here more so is that central banks in 2023 are buying gold at record pace again. And if you all remember, last year, central banks bought gold at a record pace all the way back to, I believe it was 1967. They bought more gold in 2022 than in the last 50 plus years, ladies and gentlemen. All right, and now this year they're doing it again at a record pace. If gold is just a yellow rock that's not valued at anything, then why in the world is it that central banks continue to buy it at record pace? In my opinion, it's because they know what it is. It's real money. It's the definition. It has all the values of real money, but also because they've studied history, ladies and gentlemen. And they know that when a people get screwed over, excuse my French, for lack of a better word, that eventually they will revolt unless the government comes back and says, okay, we're going to give you real money now. And then the cycle will start all over again. That's why they're stocking up on gold, because even though when real money is the base for a government's money that the government makes tender, legal tender, the people have the power. But when fiat currency is the legal tender of that government that they do by edict, right, that they pass by edict, then it is the government that has the power, just like now. The government has all the power because it can print as much money for itself to spend as it wants. Right, ladies and gentlemen? So it doesn't really matter what the debt is. It doesn't matter how much the debt is. They will always raise the debt ceiling. And it is you or we the people that will always get stuck paying back that interest on the debt that they used to enslave us. Isn't that something? But eventually the cycle will start over again. and it will start over with real money, which is gold and silver, God's money. He put it on the earth so that we can use as a form or a medium of exchange, because he understood that we, the people, we need something in order to exchange value, something that's fair and honest and doesn't care where you live. Anywhere in the world, that you go with an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver, you can find somewhere in that country that will exchange you that ounce of gold or silver for their currency in that country. And I just wanted to cover this really quick. Jamie Dimon, which is the CEO of JPMorgan, I believe, visits China. He says that there will be no decoupling between China and the United States, at least not for a while. And then he continues to say, over time, there will be less trade between China and the United States. And I believe that's true, unless we go into some kind of a kinetic event between us and China. For example, let's say that they invade Taiwan and we go in there on Taiwan's behalf to help them out, etc., etc., etc. I don't think that China will be sending us anything, no matter what, if we go into some kind of a conflict with them, okay? But he says over time there will be less trade, and I believe that to be true. Why? Because I believe that over time the US dollar will lose more and more dominance throughout the world. It's going to lose its world hegemony. Now, it may not lose its world reserve currency status, all right, but that doesn't matter. You can have whatever status you want, but if people aren't using you, i.e. the Federal Reserve note, the US dollar, you're going to lose a lot of value. So I believe that there will be less trade in the future because people just aren't going to be able to afford too many imports. People are going to be living in a state of a third world country status, in my opinion, meaning that they'll be living hand to mouth. Why, ladies and gentlemen? Because of people just like this guy, Jamie Dimon, because of bankers like him and central bankers that have destroyed the value of the dollars that you have to labor in order to earn, but they only have to print in order to spend. Isn't that something? I wonder why everyone doesn't want to be a banker. It'll take years for this thing to take place, but it won't be a decoupling and the world will go on. It definitely will go on for people like Mr. Dimon and his comrades. Why? Just like I said, ladies and gentlemen, once you have the power of the printing press, you have the power of pretty much anything. You can do anything. And here he says, I just wanted to cover this real quick because this kind of like makes me sick to my stomach when I hear people like this talk in this manner. He says here, quote, I don't represent the government, but you know, everyone knows that I am an American patriot, says Mr. Dimon. So I am sitting here in China, but I am red-blooded. I am a red-blooded, full-throated, free enterprise capitalist, says Mr. JPMorgan CEO Jamie Dimon. And ladies and gentlemen, that kind of makes me a little bit sick to my stomach because he knows exactly what damage is being done to the American people by central banks. And he champions central banks. Why? Because it's what's made the system that has allowed him to profiteer off of the backs of the average American people. So here he says that he is a patriot. I mean, I don't know. You know, I guess everyone has their own definition to what an American patriot is. But when I see a person like Mr. Dimon here, and I'm trying to be respectful, because what he is doing is he's playing by the laws that are passed by our government. That's why I've often said it's the system that is rotten. Because if our government wasn't full of politicians that would be bought out by lobbyists, then Mr. Dimon wouldn't be in a position that he is as far as being a billionaire on the backs of the American people. A lot of people think that capitalism is a terrible thing, but it's not. It's crony capitalism. Crony capitalism that allows people that are very rich to buy off politicians so that they can in turn make laws and or regulations that will help those people that help them, and then forsaking their constituents that can't afford to pay them those hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. As George Carlin said, I believe that's his name, George Carlin, it's a big club and you and I, we ain't in it. Only these guys are in it. And to finish it off, ladies and gentlemen, this is the proof. This is the proof that this is valued at nothing. This is worth nothing, ladies and gentlemen. India, faced with new round of demonetization, turn to gold. So Indians that are faced with a new round of demonetization, they turn to gold. Why is that? Because gold is real money. And it has been since pretty much the beginning of time, as soon as mankind started realizing that they needed a median to trade with. And why am I saying that this is worthless? Well, this, just like the Indian 2000 rupee note, is done by fiat. It's done by edict. Someone said, let this be. And now it is money. Now it is called money. You show this to a child and they say, that's money. They won't say that's a Federal Reserve note. They won't say that's fiat currency. But ladies and gentlemen, in India, if you have a 2000 rupee note, if you hold on to that 2000 rupee note for an extended period of time, or until after the deadline that the government is giving them to turn those notes in, then that note will be worth nothing. Then what makes it worth anything now? Same thing with this. What if our government came out and said, hey, you have to turn in all of your $100 bills, just like they did with the 500, the 1,000, and I believe they even had a $10,000 bill at one time here in the United States. What if they said we have to turn in our $100 bills? What is this worth if the government has the power to say you have to turn these in? It's really worth nothing, ladies and gentlemen. This is worth about 12 cents. By the way, this is fake. This is just this is Hollywood money, right? I like to do that to see what people say when I rip it up in front of them. But anyways, what's this worth? When, you know, look at this. I mean, what's this worth now? Let's say this was a $100 bill and I just did that. What's it worth? $100 bills, let's say the average American gets paid 30 bucks an hour nowadays. Let's say average $30 an hour. It took 3 hours for someone to make that $100 bill, right? Roughly 3 hours. But you can rip it up. What's this worth now? You know, if you burn it up, if you throw it in a burn pit and it burns up, what's it worth? But what's this worth right here? What's this worth if you take it and you burn it in a burn pit? It's still worth the exact same amount of silver content that it has. Why? Because silver is a monetary metal. Silver is an element that cannot be destroyed and cannot be minted out of thin air. Right? It cannot be minted out of thin air, as this is printed out of thin air. So ask yourself, what's your paper worth, ladies and gentlemen? You know, I know I've been talking about this for a while now, and it's because I believe that the thing that's really going to take down the United States is not going to be that we go to a kinetic war that happens here in the U.S. I believe that other countries are very aware of our military might. And therefore, I believe that what's really going to bring down the United States of America, unfortunately, is going to be the monetary system, ladies and gentlemen, and our morals, right? Two of the pillars, in my opinion, that hold up a government is morals and the monetary system. If a government's foundation is made up of morals, you know, strict morals, and a real monetary system that is fair and just, i.e. that has real money, that has a real way of accounting what's coming in and what's coming out, and is transparent to the people that that government is serving. If it has those two things, I believe that government will last a long time. Not saying that people won't have hard times. Hard times happen every day all over the world. It's always going to happen. But when you take away the morals and the way in which you conduct business with real money, changing it to fake money, then that is when the foundation of a government starts turning from stone to sand, and eventually it will crumble. So you have to protect yourselves now, ladies and gentlemen. Protect yourselves the best that you can, first by getting prepared with everything that you consume and or use on a daily basis for an extended period of time. Water, food, shelter, fuel, energy, you know, self-defense, medicine, all of these things that we consume on a regular basis that allow us to live the standard of living that we currently live. Get those things now the best that you can. And then if you have any excess wealth after that, remember, I'm not a financial advisor. And I have to say that because I'm on the internet, ladies and gentlemen. Any excess wealth that you have after that, go ahead and grab yourself a little bit of silver. And if you've got a lot of excess wealth, maybe grab yourself a lot of silver. And then maybe a little bit of gold. Having said that, I hope that you have a great day. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.